So Western Price is a dentist. He actually got to be filthy rich, and he got so much money, he took this thing called a camera, and he travels all over the world. He says, I'm sick and tired of taking care of cavities. He's now been called the Charles Darwin of nutrition because he traveled all over the world trying to figure out what are indigenous people eating. Indigenous people had beautiful faces, nice, square, symmetrical faces, healthy arches, no cavities. And then until they got exposed to Western food. And when they got Western food, the first thing that went apart was their teeth went bad. Look at those beautiful faces, those nice symmetrical faces. Healthy people from indigenous societies had perfect teeth. I grew up in village India. I had to brush my teeth and I had cavities. The kids I played with had perfect teeth and never brushed their teeth. Western Price found common threads. He said foods that can be transported long distance, stored without spoiling, rice, white flour, sugar, vegetable fat, canned goods are trouble, because they're associated with lousy teeth, crowded dental arches, cavities, and then before you know it, tuberculosis, cancer, heart disease, and all the rest of the picture. He said there's missing some essential factor. In his findings, he said traditional diets contained 10 times the amount of fat-soluble vitamins. He focused on the fat-soluble, 10 times the amount of K, A, and D. And he said there has to be something missing there. Where do those things come from? Well, they come from organ meats, like eggs and chicken and yolks and livers and butterfat of cows eating rapidly growing grass. So Western Price comes back to Cleveland, and he gets the farmers of eastern Ohio to give him their butter in April and May, when it's grass-raised butter of rapidly growing grass, and rapidly growing grass is filled with vitamin K1. And he gave his Activator X, which he combined by taking cod liver oil, vitamin D and vitamin A, and mixing it with his butter, which is vitamin K, and he started giving that, and he called that Activator X. And he cured cavities. Did you hear that? He cured cavities. Did you hear that? Okay. Let me show you some pictures of 20 cavities that he got to go away with vitamin K2. K2 does a bunch of things. It activates proteins responsible for calcium and phosphorus deposition in bones and teeth. It directs childhood infant growth by preventing premature calcification of bones so their face matures fully and they get a fully formed face. It activates proteins that cells are signaled to produce by vitamin A and D, which is where osteocalcin comes in. It protects the mouth and teeth and saliva. You dramatically lower your bacteria in your mouth. It protects against calcification, inflammation, and blood vessels. This is where coronary artery disease comes in. It helps make myelin sheath of nerve cells, which is where multiple sclerosis. This is the hottest topic in MS right now. It's essential for proper facial development of full arches and less crowded teeth. It's dramatic insulin effect through osteocalcin activation. And so these folks, not only do they have beautiful teeth, but they have all those other functions going on with them, because these people are eating animal products that eat grass. They come from herding societies where they eat animal products that eat grass. What happened in America? Well, so the calcium conundrum. Here's the calcium conundrum. About 50 people have asked me today, should I take calcium for my bones? And the answer is no. The British Medical Journal, women who take extra calcium for osteoporosis are at greater risk of heart attacks. 3 less broken bones, 6 more heart attacks per 1,000. This came out about 2 years ago. So the conundrum is too much calcium in arteries, too little in bone. What's going wrong? Both of those processes are vitamin K2 processes. Repeat, both are caused by a deficit. Too little in bone, too much in arteries, both caused by inadequate K2. So just a little risk. Here's what osteoporosis looks like. Half of women over age 50 have bones that get honeycombing like that. Women going through menopause lose about 25% of their bone mass over the next 3 years. 12% of men will break a bone, but 75% of hip fractures never again regain independence. 33% die within 3 months, and as many as 20% of American women are getting hip fractures. So American women, if you compare precise populations of African American women in America to Nigeria, where you can get sort of genetic crosswalk, is an 80-fold difference in fracture. So put your fingers around your wrist. And if your fingers overlap, you have a fine bone structure. If they just come to end like this, you have an average bone structure. But if they don't come together, you have large bones. But if they overlap, if they overlap a little bit, then comparing you to women in New Guinea who have big bone structure, your risk of breaking a hip is 1,100 to 1. What does K2 exactly do? Actually, we now know the molecule precisely. It modifies two proteins that are otherwise inert. Both of these proteins you put out when you take vitamin D. But osteocalcin binds calcium, and it basically chelates it. And chelating means a claw or makes a scoop. And you see the two calcium, there's the carbon dioxide. K2 adds that, and it puts calcium in between, just like, oopsie daisy, sorry. It puts calcium just in between, so electrically it captures it, and then it can plug it into bone. If American women have 90% of their osteocalcin, and osteocalcin the most abundant protein in your bone, if you aren't activating all that osteocalcin with vitamin K, then no wonder you have lousy bones. You know, American men only break their hips at 20 times the rest of the world. We should be outraged by double. So the hospital I grew up in, the friend I played with in India, who's now a doctor in the state of Orissa, Ajit Singh knows me. I've given him a computer, so we email each other. And 2 years ago, he asked me to send him a used hip prosthesis. His hospital is responsible for 2 million people, and 2 years ago, he saw a broken hip. He was so excited.